Is university worth it? That's a tough question for me to answer, bro. It's honestly a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. So I've just come to the end of my 3-year course. I've officially moved back home for good. And I've been doing a lot of journaling. Just a lot of reflecting on the experience as a whole. Trying to extract as much value as I possibly can. And just make sure none of the lessons I learned go to waste. What I can say is that university has changed me forever, as cliche as it sounds. I've really grown from a boy to a man during that time. It's not something I'm going to forget. I've met all these amazing friends, some of which I'm going to keep for life. Amazing lecturers, the first authority figures and teachers that really instilled a sense of confidence into me rather than just cutting me down. And it's where I got into all this self-improvement stuff. The experiences that took place in uni, for better or worse, have set me on this path. And it's something that I'm really committed to now. I'm trying to make a living out of this. In reflecting on that period, I've also been somewhat transported back to what my headspace was like before I even went to university. In the last few months of high school, how I was feeling, all my anxieties, my uncertainties around the future. And I realised that when I was that age, 17 or 18 or whatever, I would have really valued a video like this. Just an unbiased, objective look, evaluating whether it's right or wrong to go to university. And spoilers, I don't actually give a definitive answer because the truth is that it's entirely dependent on you and your situation. But what I can do is go through all the pros and cons and give you a fair assessment about whether I think it's right. I'm not advocating for either side of the argument. I'm just being honest and open with you guys. So before I get into all that, I think it's important that I give you guys some insight into what my life was like at that time. Why did I choose to go to university? And you're going to think this sounds really stupid, I can tell. I can tell what you're thinking already. But it didn't really seem like I had a choice. Let me tell you a story. So, I can recall this memory very vividly. It's just something that I unlocked whilst I was doing my journaling, and it's almost like I was entirely transported back into the whole sensory experience, everything that I was feeling as an anxious young 17-year-old. So I came into school one morning, and my form tutor, which is the teacher that does your registration, he announced to my class that today was the day we were going to be writing our personal statements. And if you don't know what a personal statement is, it's kind of like the letter of application you write to the universities. You're basically selling yourself, telling them why you'd be a good fit for this particular course. Like, basically it's just a bunch of half-truths. Like, I could say, oh, I've been passionate about film since I was 5 years old. So it's kind of like an exaggeration of the truth. So after morning break, my teacher takes us to this cramped computer room. He shuts us in there and he says, okay, you have the next hour to write the first draft of your personal statement. And for me, this is where the panic really started to set in. This is where I realised I'm playing with fire right now. Because you see, at 17 years old, I was literally brain dead. I hadn't had to make any type of impactful decision about my future, anything like that. I hadn't given it a second thought. And suddenly I was confronted with the fact that I had to make a decision about whether I was going to university for the next 3 years, whether I was going to spend all this money, or whether I was going to stay home. I hadn't given that one single thought. Honestly, at that age, the biggest questions that I had on my mind was, what video game am I going to play after school today? Or whose house am I going to go around to smoke weed? So yeah, this was one of the first times I can really recall just being confronted with my future and not knowing what the fuck to do. I can just really clearly recall this sense of dread that set in at that moment. So that might sound somewhat relatable to you. Or maybe you're laughing. Maybe you think, what was this guy worrying about? He's just getting all worked up over nothing. But what I want you to realise is, in some way or other, a lot of students find themselves in this type of predicament. A lot of students really don't know what they're going to do. And when the panic starts to set in, their decision making isn't very clear. It may well cause them to make the wrong choice, a decision that they end up regretting for their entire lifetime. Should we have to live with the consequences of those dumb teenage decisions forever? Or is there another way? That's what I'm going to help you answer today. So I've got 3 talking points today, 3 factors for your consideration when it comes to making this decision. So the first one is cost. So obviously there's different types of cost, but the most obvious one, the one that probably came to mind for you first of all, is financial. How much does university cost in the year 2023? I can't speak for other countries. I know in Europe sometimes tuition is free in some European countries. I know in the US it's crazy expensive, but here in the UK, for the 3 years, covering all expenses, tuition, accommodation, food, all of the overheads, you're probably looking at anywhere between 50 and 100 grand, which is absolutely unheard of money at that age. I think it's absolutely crazy that it's considered a cultural norm to spend that amount of money on anything, especially given you're a teenager. Like, up to that point, the most expensive purchase a teenager might have made would be on a car, a used car. That would have set them back like about 2 grand at most. But no, we're shelling out £50,000 on higher education. But not to worry, we can just get a student loan. We can forego all of the responsibility that comes with handling a sum of money like that until later on in life when we're earning a decent wage and we have a nice little payment plan that can handle it for us. That sounds ideal, right? I don't know if it's just me, but anything involving debt just sends off alarm bells in my head. That's a massive red flag, especially concerning that amount of money. This is a potentially reckless decision that can end up screwing you over for a lot of years. It could really, maybe not ruin your life, but it could really have a detrimental effect on it. I think with student loans and any loans really, you need to be absolutely certain that this is the right thing to do. You need to be absolutely certain that this money is being put to good use. Not on some bullshit degree, not on some fucking vanity purchases like a new car or some new clothes. You need to be absolutely certain that this is the right thing for you, because it could affect you for years down the line. So alongside those financial burdens, you also have the cost of time, which is something that most people don't value, but in actuality is the most important currency. It's the only one you can't get back. Time is incredibly precious, time can never be regained, so just like the money, you have to be completely sure that it's being put to good use. So strictly speaking, this is the biggest investment you've ever made in yourself, in time and money. You're taking on 2 forms of debt. Debt is not always an inherently bad thing. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Good debt will eventually pay for itself because it becomes an effective form of leverage. Bad debt, you essentially spend your entire life paying for. Now that leads me to my next talking point. The difference between good debt and bad debt comes down to your goal. Do you have a goal or a plan of action? Chances are, if you just finish school, you probably don't. It shouldn't be any secret to you that school influences you a lot in your younger years. School is very good in particular at making you believe you have your own goal. But really it's their goal. Really it was just implanted in your mind from a young age. Everything you do at school, every test you take, every lesson you sit through, every grade you receive is designed to get you further towards university. Everything is setting you up for university and to become just another cog in the machine. Now that doesn't mean you're going to live a bad life, but it doesn't guarantee wealth. It doesn't even guarantee a job nowadays. But it does make them look good. Universities make millions of students like these every year. Students who don't have a goal, who are kind of just coasting through life. They stumble into these popular courses like business studies, politics, sociology, without even really looking into the opportunities and the lifestyle they provide. And then years down the line, they have the audacity to wonder why they're in a job they hate. Another way they trap students is by encouraging them to follow their interests with these very niche, almost made up degrees. Things like video game art or feminist studies. Basically, a good rule of thumb is if no one's heard of the degree, you probably shouldn't do it. Because there's not really a demand for things like that in society. I know that's a horrible way of looking at it, but they don't really lead to anything. And to be honest, that was my course. An arts degree kind of combining art and technology. And I enjoyed every moment of it, I'm not going to lie to you. But I know why. It's because I was indulging my area of interest. And that really drew me in and made me fail to realise that a lot of the stuff I could have just learnt online. I didn't need to go to university for it. So I'm not saying give up on these degrees, but just bear in mind that they don't pay the most. There's not really that much of a demand for them. The best position to be in at this stage is to be intentional in your goal, to know exactly what it is you want. And that's not easy at this age. Definitely not. But with enough mindfulness, with enough journaling, I'm confident that these important decisions will come to you. It doesn't have to be a really specific goal. It could be to become an artist. It could be to become a multi-millionaire, one of the richest people in the country. Now, the easy part is evaluating whether university is going to help you get there. If your chosen degree is something like law or medicine, and you can really see yourself working at a job like that, then that's probably good debt, because you're not going to be able to access those jobs without a degree. It's just a necessity, and they're also high paying, so you're going to make that debt back fairly quickly. But if your degree is something more creative, something along the lines of my course, it's probably bad debt, bro, because a lot of those jobs don't even require a degree to get into. They're more interested in your portfolio, which is just something you could assemble from home by following tutorials on YouTube, I'm sorry to say. So far I've made this decision seem quite binary, and I think he'd be right to base most of it on cost and goal. But I haven't actually discussed the university experience. When you think about it, studying is only really a third. There's so much more to it that it would be a disservice for me to not mention that. So the final talking point is freedom. As much as all these other YouTubers will tell you, don't go to uni, it's full of degenerates, there are some things you can only learn from your own experiences. I feel like university allows you to live a lifetime's worth of experiences in just a few years. I often talk about the value of uncomfortable situations on this channel. And to be honest with you, I think uni is very uncomfortable. Moving to a new area and learning to navigate the life that comes with that, having to make new friends, really being responsible for your decisions for the first time ever in your life. I think when it's your first time fending for yourself, when you realise no one's ordering you around, you kind of revert to your primal tendencies. You go a bit mad with the newfound freedom. You might drink till you pass out every night. You might come back from the club at 4 and then go into a lecture at 8 AM in the morning. You might catch a couple STDs. My first year looked a lot like that. But it took me going through those experiences to realise that none of that brings me long-term happiness. Even though it was fun, what I realised in that year of fucking up my life was that when you're hungover on a come down, no one's going to come and make you food. No one's going to cut you any slack if you sleep through all your lectures and get a bad grade. No one's going to write that dissertation for you. University taught me all these lessons about accountability. I've got all of that stuff out my system. I used to be the guy who wanted to go to every party, to do the most, to have the most fun. Because the university nightlife is explosive. There's always something going on. But that's where it peaked for me. I just really don't feel the need to do that anymore. And from that came the desire to focus on my physical and mental health, to organise my time better, to make money, to live an exceptional life. It took me from a boy to a man. I can guarantee that that freedom will teach you some very important lessons about yourself. It might be some negatives, some things you recognise you have to change. It might be some positives. I now believe that I'm capable of anything in this life. That's the type of thing you can't learn from being at home in your bedroom. So that's the final talking point. Do what you will with that information. I don't want to seem like I contradicted myself at the end, but I've got to be honest, I would not be the same person had I not gone to university. As long as you've questioned the external influences, you've weighed up the good against the bad, you have a very good understanding of the long-term consequences, then I think you can be confident in whatever decision you make, bro. I hope I've been of assistance. Stay sharp, stay ahead. I'm out.